Now I'm reading from the back of the book today, 3 John. Beginning with the first verse. From the elder to my dear friend Gaius, whom I love in the truth. Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health, and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. It gave me great joy to have some brothers come and tell me about your faithfulness in the truth, and how you continue to walk in the truth. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. Dear friend, you are faithful in what you are doing for the brothers, even though they are strangers to you. They have told the church about your love. You will do well to send them on their way in a manner worthy of God. It was for the sake of the name that they went out, receiving no help from the pagans. We ought therefore to show hospitality to such men, so that we may work together for the truth. 3 John is, in many ways, the most interesting book of the New Testament. First, it's the shortest one. And second, it's a personal letter. It was not written to a church. It was not written for the purpose of correcting problems that a church was facing or providing instruction. It's a letter written by John to an individual. And he tells him what he's heard about him, and how glad he is to hear about it. And he asks them to take care of the people who are taking the letter to him. That's really all it does. In many ways, you look at it and go, why is this in the Bible? What does it have to teach us? Well, John commends Gaius for his faithfulness. Now, we know faithfulness is one of the fruits of the Spirit. But other than that, we kind of get it confused a lot. And part of it has to do with the differences between the Greek and English languages. Because if we were to take the word faithfulness and try to break it down like an English teacher would, we would say the root of faithfulness is faith, right? You have faithful, you have faith. You add a suffix, faithful. You add another suffix, faithfulness. It changes the meaning slightly each time, but it all rests on faith. And that's true in English. Unfortunately, the Greek word that is most often translated as faith has very little relation to the Greek word that is translated as faithfulness. And this is important because faith, very important thing for Christianity, is what do you believe? You know, we are saved through faith by grace. We're saved through what we believe. We are not, however, saved by faithfulness. Again, faithfulness is important. It's one of the fruits of the Spirit, but it is not something that saves us. And the problem is when we get the two confused. What does faithfulness mean? Well, if someone is faithful, they're loyal. Faithfulness is dependability. You know, if someone's faithful, you count on them. And you feel confident counting on them. Faithfulness in times of difficulty is steadfastness. They're going to stay loyal even when it's difficult. You know, everybody has friends. But no matter how many friends you have, you can probably name on one hand the number of friends that are faithful no matter what. That you can depend on in any situation. That they will be there for you, that they will provide for you if you need it, that they will give you comfort. Faithful friends, always a smaller group than friends. We get these two things confused. If faithfulness is what saves us, then we're saved by our works. It's that simple. Because faithfulness is about what we do. You know, if someone is faithful, we talk about they're faithful givers to the church. Now, that's very important. But it doesn't save them. So we have to separate the two, even though they've got the same word at their roots. So what then is faithfulness, and why is it important, and what are we to say about it? Again, it's dependability, it's loyalty, it's steadfastness. But faithfulness is an example, and apologies to those of you who are in Sunday school, you kind of heard some of this today in Sunday school. It's one of those things that we often beat ourselves up trying to accomplish on our own when we don't have to. It's a fruit of the Spirit. It's a gift of the Spirit. It's not a task. If it was something we accomplished on our own, it would be something we could boast about. Hey, look how faithful I've been. And you know what? A lot of times we kind of like being able to boast about things, right? There's the old joke of the Amishman who, getting in his buggy after church, turns to his family and goes, you know, I think we were the most humble family there today. We like to be able to boast about things we have done. But sometimes we boast about things we've done when we're not the ones who did them. I had a classmate in school who lived in one of the mansions on the south side of Indianapolis. And I mean, it was a mansion. The private property it sat on was as big as the school parking lot. And he came to school one day in his brand new sports car. Not used sports car like a few of the people had, brand new. He wanted to boast about it. Well, his boast didn't go over very well, because everybody knew that he got that sports car because he got his license and his dad bought him a sports car. He didn't buy a junk sports car and fix it up like a bunch of the guys had. He didn't go out and get a job and buy himself a sports car, or even a junk car that he could fix up. His dad gave him a car. And the gearheads, the people the kids that always hung out and talked about cars, took a look at his car and said it was nice, and then went back to working on their cars. Why? Because there was nothing for him to boast about in that car. Yes, he had that car. That was nice for him, and it was a nice car. And any of those guys would have liked to have that car for themselves. But he had not earned that car. He had not worked for that car. He had not worked on that car. It was just handed to him. And his boast was basically one which everybody already knew. Hey, my dad's richer than your dad. That's what our boasts are like when we try to boast on the gifts God has given us. Again, we kind of want faithfulness to be about us, about how faithful we have been. But the truth is, I have no faithfulness without the Holy Spirit. Without the Holy Spirit, I am not dependable. Without the Holy Spirit, I do not endure hardship. And trust me, I've endured a lot of hardship in my life. And not just physical or financial, but spiritual. But I've only endured it because of the Holy Spirit. It is not something I can boast about, except to say, look at what God has done for me. Many of you are faithful givers. And that is good. But I challenge you that you are faithful givers because of the Holy Spirit. That on your own you would not be. That the reason you give generously, and the reason you give faithfully is because the Holy Spirit is within you. And so it's not really something you can boast about. And it's not something that will save you because it's not something you've done. It's something God has done through you. Again, we must be careful not to confuse the tasks God gives us to the gifts God gives us. Don't struggle for something that is given to you. Don't worry. Don't try so hard to be faithful. Just ask God to give you faithfulness. Just ask the Holy Spirit to guide your life. It's that simple. Don't make it more complicated than it is. It's not something we can boast about. It's not something we have to struggle with. And of all the fruits of the Holy Spirit, faithfulness and patience are the two we struggle the most with, thinking of something we have to do on our own. Here's the good news. They're not. They're gifts. They're fruit that is grown naturally in your life by you having the Holy Spirit in you. Do not boast of your faithfulness. But do not worry or struggle to be faithful. simply allow the Holy Spirit to grow within you, and faithfulness follows. Our closing hymn, number 480, Only Trust Him.